That's a clap. Hey, what's up, y'all? Talentscowt coming at you with another video. I am your host, Talentscowt, and today I'm sharing with you my thoughts on why I believe paying off your student loans early could end up being one of the worst financial decisions that you could ever make, and why I personally have only paid $318 of the $32,000 I owed when I graduated at the end of 2018. More on that in a bit. If you're new to this channel, here I talk about working in tech, talk about personal finance and business. If you're interested in any of those topics, consider subscribing to the channel, check out my previous videos, maybe you'll find something interesting. Hopefully I can provide some value to you. Now, on to the topic at hand. Now I have to start off by sharing, I am not a licensed financial advisor, so this is not financial advice. This is just some guy on the internet sharing his opinion. You should do your own research and results may vary. What worked for me may not work for you. Now that that has been taken care of, here's why I think and why I chose not to pay off my student loans early. So let's just start about debt. Let's just talk about that. Debt, super simple concept to understand. You owe some money to somebody else. Simple enough. And for the majority of us, we were raised by guardians that let us know debt is evil. It's bad. Keep it at a 10-foot pole. Avoid it at all costs. And if we're being honest, most of the time, debt is detrimental. I mean, you've heard all the stories about crippling credit card debt, auto loans, people can't afford too much of a mortgage. 9 times out of 10, debt is bad for most people. However, there are a few circumstances where debt could not only not be harmful, it could be neutral or even beneficial. Good debt. You may have heard some financial professionals mention good debt. They all define it a little bit differently. Here's how I define it. For me, if the item that is being financed produces value, and for me it's normally income or a necessity, it has to produce value, and the interest rate is below 4% a year, I consider that good debt. And here's why I look at it this way. So in the United States, I'm using US numbers, that's where I'm from, that's what I know. In the US, average inflation is about 2% a year. Okay, that's pretty standard. Stock market, S&P 500, so like your most typical tracks of stock market index fund, that returns roughly 7% a year. So you take your 7%, subtract your 2%, what does that leave you with? 5%. Well, 5% is bigger than 4% last time I checked. I don't know. The kids have that new Common Core math. Maybe things have changed. But as far as I know, 5 is greater than 4. So in that case, you are in the black. Or, in the green. But it's Black History Month. We're in the black. So yeah, that doesn't sound like much because, well, at the end of the day, 1%, yeah, it really isn't that much money. But you're still making more money than you would have been by paying off more than the minimum balance on these loans. And here's another kicker to look at. So with that inflation existing, you know what that also means? Well, every dollar you spend today paying down that debt is more valuable than a dollar 5 years from now paying down that same debt. So the way I look at it, it's like, well, if I have this pretty much set amount of debt that I have to pay, assuming I pay off the interest every year minimum, I have this much to pay. Well, I'd much rather give you the more worthless future dollars, and I want to keep the good now dollars. Since every single year, that principal value becomes smaller because inflation just wiping away the value of that dollar, and you take that difference, invest it into the stock market or any other investment that returns like a pretty good, typical return, you're actually better off by investing than just paying off the debt. Now, there are some benefits to paying off the debt, and there are some cases this doesn't apply. So it's like, well, one, being debt-free, that will give you a peace of mind that I could never imagine. I've never been debt-free. I chose a career in sales. I don't know what it's like to have peace of mind. So, that's off the table. Second thing, now there are cases where you should pay off your debt really quickly. Think about like your credit cards that have like a 15% up APR. Pay those off. If you have private student loans, this probably isn't the move because those are around like 6%. Probably not the wave. And then pretty much any other debt that's about 4%. I'm not thinking of all of them. There are more that exist. I'm just, anyway. So I'm going to tell you about my experience. Why did I make this choice and when did I make this decision? So let's go back to, I believe it was fall semester 2016. That was the first time I believe that I took out the full amount of student loans available, like the subsidized or or unsubsidized, whichever the one, the government, here's some money, no interest until you graduate, whatever that one is. I took out more than I needed, and here's why I made that decision. At that time, I had been getting deeper into my investing journey, building out my long-term portfolio, and also doing some short-term plays. Now, super risky at the time because I was aware, I'm like, well, I'm technically borrowing money to invest. That's not really the best idea, but it worked out for me. So I started doubling down on things like, your Bitcoins and, and then 2017, some Ethereum. I was also using my Best Buy discount to buy my own graphics card so I could mine Ethereum. I'm not going to go into all the details, but as we all know, that ended up in hindsight being the right move. That crazy investment or risk, gamble, whatever you want to call it, it ended up profiting way more than the amount that the debt was worth. Then I started looking back. I'm like, wow, I could have not had about $10,000 in my debt. Like I could have been around 22K versus 32K. But that 10K that I ended up using, what did that let me do? Well, it paid, oh my gosh, just like the dollars from the investing portion. Now keep in mind, I didn't just leave the investments there, but overall about 250, maybe 300K, which is a crazy number to think about. Like, that's kind of insane. And also having that capital opened me up to other things. Like here's the opportunity cost comes in. If I didn't have those gains and the money for like some of my short-term plays, I would have never been able to buy my first drone, which led me to my first drone business, which led me to learning how businesses work, which led me to networking people, which led to a lot of other things that some I can't talk about, but it's just something to think about. It's like, well, having your money tied up and just paying down the debt, it could be good for some people, but if you're in a position where you could potentially use that little bit of wiggle room and make a smart move, invest in something else, the likelihood is you'll probably be way better off than just paying down the debt. This is a hypothetical scenario. This isn't my case, but say people that want to buy a house. That's American dream people. We want houses, right? So some people are like, you know what? I'm just going to save up for my down payment, go buy this house right now. Other people are more conservative, like, no, I'm going to make sure I pay off all of my student loans first. I'm going to save up cash and buy, I don't know, somewhere cheaper. Tennessee. Tennessee's cheaper. Texas, buy a cash house there. Now, here's the thing about that, though. It takes time to get to that point. So what happens in all these years that you're saving up and waiting? Well, you don't get the opportunity to be like, well, I'll take this smaller down payment, I'll buy in an up-and-coming area, and then just get to experience and get all the value of the area jumping. So like, the real estate prices go up, you get to be a part of building a community, you get to meet a lot of people, be like one of the centers of the community. Waiting just in a lot of cases won't get you where you want to go. It's maybe like this, I'm in this mindset just because I've been around so many Silicon Valley people for so long, but it's like the quicker you move and make action, most likely the better. Because if you're wrong, okay, whatever. You pick yourself up. I mean, depending on how bad it is, but eventually, if you don't die in the end, you'll be okay. So like you pick yourself back up, you try again. The more times you try and try and try, the more likely you are to hit that thing that works for you. Now, but if you only wait and wait and wait and try to do it super, super safe, you only get one shot, and it's maybe in retirement. And, your days aren't guaranteed. You never know if you're actually going to make it there. It's like, obviously you take care of yourself so you increase the likelihood. But it's like, why are we waiting to do the thing? Try to do it now. Do what you can. Get that money, like the amount that you can. Get a little wiggle room and just go and try to execute on something. Now, you should never, not pay down the debt and then just buy a bunch of dumb stuff, like something I almost did, like just go buy a really nice car. Stupid. Like that would have been dumb. Like why would I just go buy a nice car when I have this debt? But it's like, okay, I'm investing, I'm building something. Now it actually makes more sense. But yeah, those are my 2 cents. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And, follow me on Twitter @Talentscowt. Follow me on Instagram @Talentscowt. And yeah, I'm going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.